A forgotten town lost to time hides a secret as old as the earth itself. When Elias, a skeptical young journalist, arrives in Santa Lucia of the Shadows, who investigate a string of vanishings, he soon realizes some truths defy logic. The town elders whisper about the sixth sense, a cursed ability to perceive what should never be seen, and those who possess it never find peace. As Elias descends into darkness, the line between the living and the dead blurs, and reality begins to unravel around him. The road was empty. No cars, no people, not even the distant chirping of crickets. Elias glanced at his phone's GPS for the fifth time in 10 minutes. Still no signal. Santa Lucia of the Shadows didn't exist on modern maps. The only reference Elias could find was a yellowed photograph and an old newspaper clipping from nearly 30 years ago about a family that vanished without a trace. The assignment had arrived in the strangest way. A plain envelope, no sender. Inside, a handwritten note. The ink faded. Some things can only be told in the dark. Come to Santa Lucia. You are the only one who can see it. He chuckled at first, a prank, he thought. But something about the words, an urgent, primal pull he couldn't explain, made him search for the place. He parked beside a decaying wooden sign barely hanging on its hinges. Welcome to Santa Lucia of the Shadows. A cold wind swept through the surrounding forest. The smell of wet earth and decaying leaves mixed with something denser, metallic, like rust or old blood. Elias grabbed his voice recorder. Field Diary, Day 1. I've reached Santa Lucia, the town seems. Abandoned, no cell signal. Atmosphere is heavy. Continuing on foot, the town appeared after a narrow curve, as if it had been hiding on purpose. Old houses with cracked tile roofs and doors that creaked with the wind. But it didn't feel deserted. Curtains shifted in windows. Faint figures moved just at the edge of sight. He reached the central square, a dry, moss-covered fountain. An ancient church with doors chained shut. On its facade, a carved image of Saint Lucia, her eyes missing, held on a plate in her hands. An old woman dressed in black sat silently on a stone bench, staring at him, looking for the ones who left. She rasped. Elias approached. I'm a journalist. Came to investigate the disappearances. Do you live here? She didn't answer, just nodded slowly. Then you're too late, she whispered. She rose with surprising agility and vanished around a corner. A bell tolled from the church. No one was there. That's when he felt it. A sharp, icy stab at the back of his neck. The air grew heavy, thick, as though the oxygen had been drained. The whole town seemed to hold its breath. He spun around, nothing, only the sound of his own footsteps echoing. He tried the church doors, but thick, rusted chains held them shut. Hello, he called, a whisper, inches from his ear. Rotten breath on his skin, you shouldn't have come. His phone buzzed, signal for just a second. A message from an unknown number. You have the gift, like her. Run before it's too late. His stomach twisted. Suddenly, the ground beneath him seemed to pulse, like the town itself was alive. Shapes moved through the shadows between houses, not people too thin. Faces melted, impossible. He sprinted to his car, but when he reached the road, it was gone. No road. Just endless forest in all directions. Behind him, the old woman smiled from the shadows. You're one of us now, she whispered, and the shadows closed in. Elias stood frozen, staring at the place where the road had been. His heart pounded like a drum inside his chest. The woman's voice still lingered in his ears. "You're one of us now." He turned back to the town, its crooked houses and dark windows like watching eyes. A heavy fog rolled in, thicker than before. The world around him shrunk to a tight, suffocating bubble. His car was nowhere to be seen, not even tire tracks. It was as if it had never existed. He began walking, desperate for shelter. The only thing visible ahead was an old two-story house, its shutters nailed shut. No lights, no signs of life. The front door was ajar. Elias hesitated. Every instinct screamed not to enter, but the cold gnawed at his bones, and the darkness behind him felt alive, watching, waiting. He stepped inside. Inside the house was a time capsule. Ancient furniture draped in dusty cloths. A broken grandfather clock stopped at 3:33 a.m. Elias raised his recorder. Field diary, time unknown. Entered a house for shelter. No electricity. Town feels wrong. I think someone's following me. A photo frame lay on a table. He wiped the dust. A faded image of a young woman with pale eyes and a knowing smile. The name etched on the frame's bottom corner. Lucia Morales, 1937. He pocketed it. A cold draft brushed his neck. He turned. A figure stood at the end of the hallway. Tall, motionless, its face obscured by shadow. Elias gripped his recorder tighter. "Who's there?" he called. Silence. Then, a faint child's voice, impossible in the stillness. "Don't see them. If you see them, they see you." Elias backed into the kitchen. The figure didn't move. On the wall, dozens of old newspaper clippings were pinned. He grabbed one. Another disappearance in Santa Lucia. The curse continues. The dates spanned decades, names crossed out, faces blurred. In the center, a handwritten message. She sees through the sixth sense. His hands trembled. Behind him, footsteps. Slow, deliberate, heavy. He spun around. No one. Then, his phone buzzed. A new message. "They're behind you." He didn't turn. The child's voice again. "Don't turn around." But he did. Nothing except the figure now standing inches from him. Its face was Elias's own, pale, bloodless, eyes completely black. "Leave now," it rasped, and vanished. Elias ran out of the house into the choking fog. But the town had changed. The buildings looked older, collapsing. The church was a burnt-out husk. No signs of life. The fog parted briefly. A woman stood in the square, the same face from the photograph. Lucia Morales, but she hadn't aged. She raised a finger to her lips. "It's too late now." Elias, his sixth sense had awakened. He could see them, and now they could see him. Elias dropped his recorder as the world around him twisted, the figures closing in. Elias staggered through the fog, his lungs burning. A memory of those figures burned into his vision. Every corner, every shadow felt alive. His phone was dead. The recorder lay somewhere in that cursed house. And the town, it wasn't the same anymore. The buildings around him had decayed as though decades had passed in minutes. Crumbling walls, collapsed roofs, nature reclaiming every inch. But ahead, one thing remained: the church. Its doors, once chained shut, now stood wide open, gaping like a mouth. He knew he had no choice. The same voice whispered in his mind. "It's beneath the church, where the eyes are buried." Inside, rows of broken pews, walls scorched black. On the altar, a book. Elias approached, dust clotting with each step. The book's cover bore no title, just a carved symbol of an eye bleeding. He opened it. The pages were brittle, handwritten in a mix of Latin and Old Spanish. A passage stood out. Those cursed with the sixth sense are marked by St. Lucia's gaze. They see the forgotten dead to rid oneself of the curse. The eyes must be returned. Below, a hand-drawn map, a trapdoor behind the altar. His pulse thundered in his ears. He turned, and there it was, a half-rotted rug, slightly askew. He pulled the rug aside, rusty iron rings, a wooden hatch. Elias hesitated, every nerve screaming not to open it. But then a voice, his own, from beneath the floorboards, "Help me, help us." He opened it. Darkness, a foul, suffocating stench. The walls lined with ancient stones, a stone staircase spiraling down. No light save for a single candle at the first step. He descended each step colder. At the bottom, a chamber. A stone altar stood in the center. On it, a shallow bowl filled with human eyes, some fresh, others ancient. Around the walls, shapes moved. Figures half seen, faces twisted. Lucia Morales stood among them, her skin pale as death, eyes empty sockets. "You weren't supposed to see," she whispered. The dead encircled him. "You opened your sight. You belong to us now." They pointed at him. His head throbbed. Images flooding his mind. Every lost soul of Santa Lucia, every disappearance. The townsfolk had sacrificed their eyes generations ago to escape the sixth sense, burying them beneath the church to blind themselves from the horrors they'd unleashed. But Elias, he'd seen too much. His gift awakened something ancient, a gateway. Lucia extended a hand. "Return your eyes and be free." In her other hand, blood-stained knife. Visual cue, knife gleaming in candlelight. Elias's reflection in the blade. Effect. String crescendo. Elias grabbed a nearby torch, backing away. "I won't." The figures screamed in one voice, shaking the crypt walls. He sprinted for the stairs, the dead chasing behind. As he reached the surface, the church burst into flames. The fog cleared. The town was gone. No houses, no streets, only empty forest. Elias collapsed to his knees. In his hand, the photograph of Lucia Morales. But now the woman's eyes were scratched out. A single phrase scribbled beneath, "You'll never stop seeing them." Elias lay in the damp earth. Morning light filtered weakly through the branches. For a moment he believed it was over. The fire, the dead, the eyes, all just a fevered dream, until he looked down. In his hand, the photograph of Lucia Morales, and on the back, new words written in his own handwriting, "We never left." His phone lay beside him, working. One bar of signal, a single notification, unknown number, one new voicemail. He played it, his own voice, but hoarse, distorted. "Not from this world, Elias. Don't trust the road. It loops. They built this place to trap us. There is no way out." He sat up. The forest was endless. No town, no road. Only the church bell in the distance. But when he turned toward it, the bell tower was still standing, as if the fire had never happened. Elias moved toward it, each step warping reality. Trees bending subtly in unnatural ways, the path shifting beneath his feet. The fog thickening in moments, then vanishing. And always the sense of unseen eyes watching. He reached the church door, a note pinned to it. fresh, white paper. Cross the threshold, and you're one of them. A shadow moved inside. He hesitated, then heard the voice again. His own, from behind. Don't turn around. Elias stepped inside. The church was pristine. Candles lit, stained glass hold on the altar. A woman. Lucia, alive, eyes intact. She smiled. You came back. We always do. Elias stepped closer. Her eyes shimmered, pools of pitch black, reflecting countless faces, his own among them. What is this place? He asked. She gestured around. A town that never existed, built from grief. Every soul trapped here carried the sixth sense. Every one of us cursed to relive the same night, the same fear, endlessly. He felt the walls pulse around him. The dead whispered. You saw them, Elias, you let them in. A single figure appeared behind Lucia, an older version of himself, worn, hollow, eyes missing. I tried to warn you, the figure rasped. Elias, step back, I can leave. I'll fight this. Lucia's expression softened. No, Elias, you already crossed. Look around. He did. The pews filled with people, silent, watching. Familiar faces, his parents, his friends. Every person he thought alive, sitting motionless. The photograph fluttered to the floor. This time his face was scratched. The bell tolled once, then darkness. Elias stood frozen, the air thick with centuries of rot and grief. The bell above rang again, each chime vibrating his bones. Lucia stepped down from the altar. There's only one way out, she murmured. She pointed toward the bell tower. Destroy what binds us, and the eyes curse. The dead figures in the pews turned their heads in unison. Not by muscle, by some unseen force. Elias's pulse pounded in his ears. What is it? Lucia's voice cracked. The eye of Santa Lucia, buried in stone, a stone relic sealed in the foundations centuries ago. The eye of the last seer, ripped from her corpse to trap her visions, and the dead she summoned. If shattered, it would either break the curse or unleash the souls trapped within forever. Elias moved toward the bell tower door. The church pulsed around him, walls twisting, voices filled his head. Stay, see us, join us. He ignored them. At the bell tower's base, a rusted hatch heaved it open. A spiral staircase led down. Elias grabbed a candle and descended. At the bottom, a circular chamber, stone altar in the center, and there it sat. Elias felt every memory, every pain, every death in Santa Lucia crashing through his mind like a storm. Faces, screams, the weight of centuries. A voice spoke, ancient, female, inside his skull. You open the sight, now you'll see them forever. His hand trembled as he lifted a rusted hammer from the altar. The figures from the church surrounded the chamber. Lucia last among them. It's your choice, Elias and us, or become one of us. Tears blurred his vision. He screamed and swung. The eyes split, a deafening shriek. The chamber walls cracked, souls burst forth, wailing forms spiraling into the darkness above. The relic turned to dust, and for a moment, silence. Elias collapsed. When he woke, he was alone in daylight on the old town road. The church gone, the forest normal. A single photograph in his pocket. Lucia's face, smiling, her eyes intact. Thank you. His phone vibrated. Unknown number. One new message. Some doors never stay closed. Elias looked up. In the trees, a figure watched, black eyes gleaming. Elias walked in silence, no phone signal, no distant bell, no Lucia. Just the wind and the crunch of leaves beneath his steps. The sky had dull, lifeless gray. A house appeared ahead, not the church, not a ruin. A modern home, lights in the window. A pickup in the drive. He approached, knocked. A man opened the door, early 60s, weathered face. You all right, son? Elias tried to speak. Couldn't. The man ushered him in. Elias sat. The man poured him coffee. Name's Mateo. Been living out here all my life. Thought I knew these woods. Elias nodded. I saw them, the dead, the town. Mateo's face fell. He set down the cup. Santa Lucia, he whispered. Elias looked up. You know it. Mateo sighed. A long time ago, my grandmother spoke of a cursed valley, a town that wasn't real, a trap for those born with the sight. He glanced at Elias's eyes. Yours are marked now. Marked? Elias asked. Mateo leaned in. Once you've seen them, you carry them, not just Santa Lucia's dead. All of them. He pointed out the window. They follow. Elias turned. A shadow moved between the trees. Mateo handed him a small, worn journal. This belonged to the last one like you. If you're lucky, you'll learn how to live with it. If not, he didn't finish the sentence. Elias took it, pages filled with drawings of faces, descriptions of restless, dead spirits from every forgotten place. And one final line scribbled at the back. You can't outrun what's already inside you. Mateo spoke. Stay the night, son. In the morning, you move on. But you'll never be alone again. The fireplace crackled. Elias stared into the flames. His phone vibrated on the table. Unknown number. One new voicemail. He hesitated, played it. His own voice again, but older, wearier. They're here in the mirrors, in the corners. Behind the eyes of those you pass. Run if you want. It won't matter. He turned off the phone, opened the journal. On the first page, a new entry in his handwriting. Elias Marino, seer, marked. He hadn't written it, and somewhere in the distance, a bell tolled once. Some doors never close. Some eyes never stop watching. A hand held it, not Elias's. New fingers, new eyes. A woman sits alone in a dim apartment. Name on screen. Sixth Sense, Santa Lucia. A video link. She taps play. The video begins. Clips of Elias, the church, the forest. She watches, transfixed. Suddenly, the video glitches. A single frame, a face behind her. She turns, nothing. She laughs it off until the phone vibrates. Unknown number. One new message. Message reads, do you see them now? She looks up, the reflection in her dark TV screen. Multiple faces watching from behind. She drops the phone. Camera pans to the screen. Text appears. Thank you for watching. You've opened the door too. Then, one last voice. Lucia's whisper. We see you.